Hello, Anna, Anjali, Kanisha, Lakshmi, Prashant, Sharsad, Vijay. I know I'm pronouncing probably all the names wrong, but I just want to make sure that you all know we can see you. And if you want to communicate with us, please go ahead and write anything in the questions box. And I think I'm going to start just to do the introduction so we're not running late. Hi, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us today. As you all are aware, we're recording this session. My name is Graciela Carrillo. I am the Vice President of the Immigrant Architects Coalition, and with me is Gloria Clotter, Board Director of the Immigrant Architects Coalition. And I am thrilled to welcome you on behalf of the Immigrant Architects Coalition to our second webinar of this year. This is a new initiative that we started doing this year, and we will continue to put together content that people can join through this online media. At the Immigrant Architects Coalition, our mission is to support and empower immigrant professionals in our field. And the way we do that is by providing resources, mentorship, and a community that understands the unique challenges we face in this journey. And today's topic is one that resonates deeply with many of us, especially these times, which is navigating the complex and often confusing world of immigration pathways, especially as it relates to practicing as an architect or engineer in this country. And we are honored to welcome Abhishek Nair. He's a civil and environmental engineer. He works at Gresham Smith, where he specializes in water and wastewater infrastructure design projects, PFAS destruction technologies, and environmental project delivery across the Midwest. Abhishek has a Master of Science in Civil Engineering from the University of Dayton, and he has contributed to several high-impact projects involving public utilities, regional water treatment, and national environmental research efforts. And today, Abhishek will walk us through the different visa options available and practical tips for those working toward employment in this country. He is currently pursuing the O1 visa for individuals of extraordinary ability based on his recognized contributions to engineering and public interest projects. Through this session, he hopes to demystify complex U.S. immigration pathways and share practical strategies for navigating beyond the H-1B process, which pretty much all of us are familiarized with. And this is especially for emerging leaders in architecture, engineering, but also environmental design. So whether you're just beginning your professional journey here or looking to understand your long-term options to stay here and work legally, we hope you walk away today with clarity, confidence, and a sense of empowerment. And please feel free to drop your questions in the chat. We will have time at the end to respond to some of those questions. And please welcome Abhishek Nair. We're very, very happy that you're joining us. Take it away, Abhi.
Thank you so much, Gracilia. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here today. My name is Abhishek V, and I'm a water resource engineer currently working on major infrastructure and environmental projects across the US. Tonight's session is titled Beyond H-1B, US Immigration Options for Architects and Engineers. And for many of us in this room, this isn't just a topic, it is shared experience. As international students and early career professionals, many of us has gone through the same roller coaster, spending years studying and training in the US, only to face unpredictability of the H-1B lottery, a process that feels like more to do with luck than merit. But what if I told you there are other door options that offer more clarity, stability, and control over future? This presentation is about those doors. It is about empowering all of us, whether architects, civil engineers, urban planners, or specialists in environmental design, to take ownership of our own immigration journey and plan strategically. So let's begin this journey together and explore what lies beyond H-1B. So now that we have set the stage, let's talk about why this conversation matter for all of us. Each year, thousands of talented F1 students and early career professionals invest in their education and work experience here in the US, only to hit a wall when the H-1B lottery doesn't go their way. And when that happens, it's not just disappointing, it can feel like everything is on pause. But here's what I have realized through experience and research, that there are alternatives, options that allow us to keep moving forward professionally, legally, and strategically. In this session, we will explore the O1 visa for those with proven abilities in their field, the L1 visa for company transfer, the EB2 NIW, a self petition green card option, Day 1 CPT as a temporary bridge, and even how work remotely with US companies from abroad. I will talk about the risk, cost, timeline, and real world case examples. But I do want to clear this session is for education purpose only. The information shared in this webinar is intended for general education purpose and may not apply to every individual situation. Visa and immigration cases are highly specific, and we strongly encourage all attendees to consult with a qualified immigration attorney before making any decision. This webinar is not substitute for legal advice, and the Immigration Architects Coalition does not provide legal representation. With that foundation set, let's begin by briefly revisiting the most well-known visa, the H-1B, to understand where its limits lie and why do we need to explore beyond it. The H-1B is designed for specialty occupation, including fields like architect, civil engineering, IT, and environmental science. It requires employer sponsorship and is subject to an annual lottery cap. If selected, you get an initial 3 years and with an option to extend another three. One key advantage is that it allows dual intent, meaning you can apply for green card while on H-1B. But here the reality, getting selected is not guarantee. And for many of us, it is not just about the policy, it is personal. I have applied for H-1B 3 times, once while I was working with a minority owned engineering firm, and twice through Gresham Smith, where I currently support major water infrastructure project. Each time I wasn't selected, and I'll be very honest, it hits hard. And when your future depends on a lottery, it makes you question, did I not do enough? Am I running out of time? Should I change countries? But here's what I came to realize, and especially in our industry, as engineers and architects, we grow not just through degrees, but through projects, through design deadlines, regulatory compliances, stakeholder coordination, and site constraint. And you need time, a decade or more to master that complexity. That's why it didn't sit right with me to have that growth interrupted by a visa lottery. And that's what led me to start researching alternatives, options that put the timelines back in our hand, not in the hands of a chance. So, with that in mind, let's move to our first alternative, one that offers both flexibility and long term potential, the EB2 National Interest Waiver. Now, let's turn focus into one of the most exciting and self driven green card paths out there, the EB2 National Interest Waiver, or NIW. As an international student and professional, many of us have asked, what if I want to stay in US but my employer can't sponsor me? Or what if I want more control over my green card journey? That's where NIW truly shines. It is a pathway that allows us to self petition for a green card, meaning we don't need employer sponsorship or traditional labor certification process. Instead, we show that the work we do serve the US national interest. For most of us in the field of like engineering, public health, energy, infrastructure, and tech, that is not a stretch. We are already working on projects that matters. The process begins with filing the I-140 petition. If a visa number is available, we can also file the I-1485 green card application together, which means we get a EAD, work authorization, and advance parole, travel permission while waiting for the approval. Now let's talk the cost. Because we all know that's the factor, the I-140 fee is $715. The I-1485 for adults is $1,440. Then there are attorney fees, typically ranging from $6,000 to $12,000, and potentially another 1,000 to 3,000 for expert letters or documentation. So, yes, it is an investment, but many of us, it is also a path of freedom, stability, and ability to pursue work aligned with our long term goal without being tethered by a specific employer. Let's weigh the pros and cons of this path, and I'll share what, as a student and a professional, have learned about the research. Starting with the advantage, the biggest one is self petitioning. You do not need a job offer, you don't need your company's legal department to back you. You also avoid the perm labor certification, that months of recruitment hoops you skip entirely. Plus, you are applying directly for a green card with optional work and travel benefits during the process. Premium processing is now available for the I-140, and this is especially useful for researchers, academic engineers, and tech professionals who work aligned with national goal, which, let's be honest, many of ours do. Now, the disadvantage. First, you have to make a strong case. That means providing your work has national importance, not just technical, but societal value. You don't get visa status just by filing. You need to maintain a valid F1, OPT, or H-1B during the wait. And it can be expensive. When you combine legal fees, documentation, USCIS charges, the total often runs over $8,000. But maybe the most frustrating challenge is the processing time, and that's what we'll dive into in the next slide. Now let's clarify who qualifies for EB2 NIW. EB2 NIW isn't a separate visa, it's two-layered. First, you qualify under the EB2 category, which means you need either advanced degree like master's or bachelor's plus 5-year progressive experience, or you apply based on exceptional ability like recognition, high salary, or awards. Once you qualify for EB2, you then apply for national interest waiver. Your work must have substantial merit and national importance. Think public health, infrastructure, environmental research, tech innovation. You must be well positioned to advance that work with education, experience, and a strong portfolio. And you must show that the waiving the job offer and labor certification actually benefits the US. For most of us, especially engineers and researchers, these boxes check out. I personally worked on PFAS destruction and a major infrastructure that supported public health. I saw that my work mattered, but then came the reality check, the waiting period. As of 2025, if you are from India, the EB2 priority date is still backlogged around 2012 to 2014. That's 10-year wait after I-140 approval just to file I-1485. Meanwhile, students from Canada or UK often move forward with year or two. Some Latin American countries don't even have a backlog. So while NIW might be a perfect fit on a paper, the country of birth can heavily influence your strategy. That is why we recommend do your homework, talk to your good attorney, and plan a backup visa, especially if you are from countries like India or China, because it's not just a legal decision, it's a life decision. Now, as we explore our options, another visa route emerge, one that can hadn't considered until I entered the workforce, the L1. The L1 is built for those who work in international companies where there is a US office and branch or affiliate abroad. Some of our friends, especially those working in multinational engineering, tech, and consulting firm, found this to be an unexpected but powerful path. Here's how it works. If you have worked for at least a year at your company overseas office within the last 3 years, your company can qualify you for a L1A visa. L1A is for managers and executives, and it can go up to 7 years. L1B is for specialized knowledge roles, typically capped at 5 years. This visa can be attractive for some of us for few reasons. First, it allows dual intent, meaning you can apply for a green card without violating your visa terms. That's a big deal. Also, spouses on L2 visa can now work freely, which is a game changer for families. Of course, it's not cheap. There are government fees like $530 USCIS fees and $500 anti fraud fees, and optional premium processing if you want to speed up. Legal fees vary, but most of us heard quotes between $5,000 to $10,000. So while the L1 isn't an option you can directly control as a student, it is something to consider when choosing employers. If your future company has a presence abroad, you can build a path towards internal transfer and bypass the H-1B lottery altogether. Now let's look at the pros and cons of this option, because while it promises, there are key limitations we need to understand as well. So, after learning the core requirements of the L1 visa, let's start weighing its pros and cons. At first glance, the advantages seems very appealing. There is no lottery, no annual cap, which means no uncertainty or dependency on random draw. It also allows dual intent, which is huge benefit. You can apply for green card while on L1 without jeopardizing your visa status. For those on L1A, this often leads to smooth transition into green card through EB1C category. The validity period is also generous, up to 7 years for L1A and 5 years for L1B, depending on your role. Another plus, L2 spouses can now work in the US without needing separate authorization, which adds a lot of flexibilities for families. And from a company's perspective, it is a great fit for international firm or startup expanding in the US, a pathway to bring internal talent across borders efficiently. But then we look at the challenges, and this is where the visa start to narrow its scope. To qualify, your company must have a legitimate foreign branch or affiliate, and that relationship has to be documented thoroughly. You also need to have worked abroad for at least 1 year in the last three. That makes this visa far more accessible to employees already working overseas. In my case, and I imagine for many of students like me, this visa wasn't an option. My company doesn't have an foreign office, so I couldn't even begin to pursue L1. I have seen some companies and send employees to India or some another home country for a year just to make them eligible for L1, transfer back them to US, but that only works if the company is truly multinational. And then, of course, the cost between the legal fees, USCIS fees, and premium processing, the total can easily exceed $8,000, especially for new offices trying to prove operations legitimacy. So while the L1 visa has a great potential, it is best suited for employees of global companies with cross-border operation. For US only companies and individuals without overseas work experience, it's unfortunately not a viable route. After exploring L1, I realize it's a strong option, but only if your company has offices outside the US. Since my company didn't have an international office branch, that path wasn't available for me. So I started wondering, what if you don't have a global employer? What's the best alternative? That's when I discovered the independent contractor model, working remotely with US companies from abroad without needing a visa. In this step, you can operate as a freelancer, consultant, or registered business from your home country, whether that's India, Brazil, South Africa, or anywhere. You are not employed by an US company. You are simply providing service across border. To stay compliant with US tax laws, I learned about the W8 Ben form. You submit it to your US clients so they know you are a foreign entity, your actual income taxes and governed by the law of your own country, like GST, VAT, or income tax, depending on where you are based. You also need to set clear contractual term with your client, things like payment timelines, deliverables, and intellectual property rights. It's a business relationship, so professional structure is key. This model works especially well in fields like engineering, technical consulting, software and development, design, marketing, content academy, or scientific research support. Typical cost for the US clients include hourly pay from $30 to $150, legal fees around $500 to $1,500. Optional tool for time tracking and billing is 100 to 500 per year dollars per year. For me, this option felt empowering. I could stay in my country and still build experience with US clients, earn in dollars, and grow my portfolio without waiting months or years for visa. So while it is not direct path to immigration, it opened real door for personal growth and kept me connected to the US job market. Let's look into the pros and cons of working remotely. For this presentation, I'll use India as example because that's where I am from, but I encourage you all consider the specifics of your own country, tax laws, banking rule, and remote work policies. These are these can vary quite a bit and really impact how feasible the path is for you. One plus side is you don't need visa, no USCIS paperwork, no lottery anxiety. You can work with multiple US clients or projects at the same time. You have full freedom over your schedule, the time of your work you take, how much you charge. For folks in tech, design, research, or consulting, this is often a natural fit. And yes, you can often earn more per hour than you would locally, especially if you are highly skilled and know how to market yourself. But there are limitations too. This setup doesn't let you live or stay in the US. So there is no replacement of work So there is no replacement of work visas. You have to manage your own taxes, legal compliances, and invoicing. In my case, under Indian law, there is no benefit, no health insurance, no paid leaves, and no long term job security. And without strong contracts, you might run into payment issues, especially across the borders. So it's a good short term to mid term solution for those prioritizing flexibility and income. But your long term goal, if your long term goal is to live or settle in the US, your company should file H-1B when you are living in India so that you can come back. So I would add a little personal story. I once bought this idea up to my supervisor thinking I discovered the loophole of the century. He looked at me and shook his head and said, "Ah, Abhi, so you want to stay in India, get paid in US dollars, and retire early?" And I said, "Absolutely." He laughed and added, "I like you, Abhi, but I don't like you that much." So, yeah, that option was politely shut down. So, after that dream of working remotely from India fell flat, I knew I had to find real way to keep working while staying in the US. That's when I came across Day One CPT. And to be completely transparent with you, I'm currently enrolled in a Day One CPT program at Harrisburg University of Science and Technology. So, what is Day One CPT? It stands for Curricular Practical Training, and it is a feature of F1 visa system. Under Day One CPT, you are allowed to begin working from very first day of your new degree program as long as work is tied to your academic curriculum and approved by your university's designated school official or DSO. Most Day One CPT programs are offered by private university, especially in fields like IT, STEM, and business. The idea is that the degree is structured around work experience like internship or practical training. But there are rules. You still have to maintain full time enrollment, stay in F1 compliance, and yes, some program requires you to attend weekend or evening classes. It is popular bridge strategy used by students who have maxed out their OPT or STEM OPT and didn't win the H-1B lottery, but want to legally stay in US while preparing for something more stable like O1, EB2 NIW, or even the next H-1B season. And let's talk about the cost for a second. The CPT authorization fees can range from 300 to $3,500 or more, depending on the school. That's the service. There is the service fee, visa processing cost, possible legal consultation, and of course, health insurance, all what add up fast. So while day one CPT is not permanent solution, it does buy you time to build experience, stay legally in the US, and work towards your next big step. It is not the finish line, but very useful pit stop. Now that we have covered what day one CPT is, how it works, let's talk honestly about the pros and cons. Because while it might sound like a dream solution, it's definitely not perfect. Let's start with the advantages. The biggest one is immediate work authorization. You don't have to wait. You can start working from day one of your new degree program. It gives you legal way to remain in the US after the OPT or STEM OPT expires. There is no H-1B lottery, no cap. You are still on F1 visa, just in a new degree. It allows you to continue building US work experience, which is crucial when you are aiming for something like O1 or EB2 NIW. And speaking of that, Day 1 CPT can act as really helpful bridge, buying you time while you prepare for your next immigration step. But let's look at the disadvantage. First, many top universities don't offer day one CPT, and some employers or government officials might not take these programs seriously. USCIS may scrutinize your case more during future visa or green card application if you have been on day one CPT too long or used it more than once. You still have to stay enrolled full time, attend class, and follow F1 compliances rule. It is not a free pass to just work full time and ignore school. A lot of these programs are also very expensive. And lastly, this is big one. It could affect your future F1 renewals, H-1B application, or green card petition. If not managed carefully. So in summary, day one CPT can absolutely work, but it's not a long-term solution. Think of it as a stepping stone. It gives you time across the tough spot, but still have to keep moving towards something more stable. So now let's talk about visa I'm personally pursuing right now, the O1 visa. This visa is designed for individuals with extraordinary ability. It's split into two types, O1A and O1B. O1A for fields like science, education, business, and athletics. Think engineers, researchers, founders, or executives who have made mark nationally or internationally. O1B is geared towards arts and entertainment, actors, musicians, or creatives who have earned distinction in their field. There is no lottery, no cap, and unlike many other visas, O1 allows dual intent, which means you can pursue a green card while staying on this visa. You typically get 3 years on initial approval, and after that, you can extend it to 1 year increment. Now the costs are substantial. USCIS filing fees is around $530. If you have to go through premium process, then there is $2,800 if you want a fast 15 days decision. Attorney fees, these vary, but most cases land between $6,000 to $10,000. Supporting documents and letters add another $500 to $2,500 depending on how much expert help you need. I'm currently preparing my petition with an attorney and employer sponsor. It is definitely a big lift financially and documentation wise. But for those who can show strong credentials, the oven can be a pathway free of lotteries and uncertainties. It is serious commitment, but also a serious opportunity as well. So when applying for oven visa, you need to meet at least 3 out of 8 criteria. Let me quickly show you some of the example how I am aligning my work with these requirements. So for original contribution, I led a comprehensive literature review on PFAS destruction technologies and will present it at a regional water conference this month. This work has been cited in multiple letter of recommendation which I am going to submit. Employment in critical role. At Gresham Smith, I have taken role on QA/QC and design of Columbus' fourth water plant project, as well as PFAS mitigation work featured in a press release, which was done while I was working while I was working as a research assistant in University of Dayton. I I worked was the work which I did in University of Dayton press released, and that kind of media attention strengthens this criteria. Authorship. In the primary I'm the primary author of white paper reviewing 90 peer-reviewed studies on PFAS treatment. It highlights my ability to synthesize and communicate technical knowledge. So while I don't check every box, I am focusing on the key areas to build a compelling case under oven standards. Let's now break down the pros and cons of the oven visa, which I'm currently pursuing, starting with the advantages. First, the oven visa has no lottery or cap. So, unlike the H-1B, it gives you more predictability and control path forward. It also allows dual intent, which means you can apply for green card while staying in the US, a critical advantage if you are planning for long term. It is valid up to 3 years and can be extended 1 year at a time, making it suitable for professionals who need stability and career flexibility. The open work especially well for freelancers, founders, researchers, or executives, since it can be filed by a US agent, not just a traditional employer. This gives you more room to operate independently or under multiple clients. Here's another big advantage that many people don't realize. Having an open visa can actually strengthen your case for an EB-1A green card, the green card category for individuals of extraordinary ability. Why? Because the eligibility criteria for O1 and EB1A are almost identical. In fact, USCIS often use the same types of evidence to evaluate both. So once you have successfully secured an O1 visa, you have already built the foundation of an EB1 case. Media coverage, awards published, original contribution, and critical employment. And the best part, EB1A does not require a US employer to sponsor you. You can self petition. For someone like me who is already preparing my O1 application and documenting my qualification, this means I'm not just applying for a visa, I'm building my green card case in parallel as well. Now let's talk about the disadvantage. The standard is very high. You have to prove extraordinary ability with strong documentation, including awards, media mentions, publications, and letters. Legal fees can easily go up to 10,000 or more, depending on complexity of your case and attorney you hire. Your process involves high documentation burden, especially for renewals, which are required annually after the initial 3 years period. It is not for everyone. You need a strong, sustained record of national or international achievement. So, in summary, while the Owen visa demands more upfront, it opens door that H-1B simply doesn't, especially if you are aiming for independence, long-term stability, and an EB1 green card down the road. Here's a quick snapshot of everything what we have covered so far. This table compares the key features of each visa or work path. Let's start from the top. H-1B is an employer sponsor subject to a lottery and allow dual intent. It is valid up to 6 years and is a common path to green card. but the lottery makes it unpredictable. Oven A and Oven B are for individuals with extraordinary ability. There is no cap, no lottery, and dual intent is allowed. You will need an employer or agent to file, but if you qualify, it is a strong, flexible option. L1 visa are for intra-company transfer. You must have worked abroad for a company for a year, but there is no cap, and it leads to green card under EB1C for managers. EB2 NIW is a self-petition green card path. It doesn't require you a job offer or employer sponsorship or labor certification. If your work is of national interest, this can be one of the most powerful options, especially for researchers and public sectors. For those returning to India, working as an independent contractor is flexible and high on earning option. And if your company is willing to file H-1B, then you can come back on that visa. Lastly, Day 1 CPT offers immediate work authorization under F1 visa through certain university, but it's often viewed as a risky and should only be used as a short-term bridge while pursuing other options. This slide can help you in understanding the different options side by side based on your current situation and your long-term goal. As we wrap up this session, I want you to leave with few key reflections. First, every visa options we have discussed come with a trade-off in cost, eligibility, stability, and green card potential. So it's important to align your strategy with both your short-term work goals and long-term immigration goals. Second, your visa journey is not just legal process, it is career strategy. For example, I started on F1, then moved into Day 1 CPT program at Harrisburg, and now I'm currently pursuing the O1 visa as a civil and environmental engineer. The goal is eventually transition into EB1 green card using my achievements and contribution in PFAS destruction. Third, immigration pathway can change quickly. So while I have taken India as my reference point throughout this talk, I encourage each of you to double check timelines, quotas, and country specific backlogs issued based on your nationality and stay in close contact with an immigration attorney to ensure you are making best move. Finally, your story, your expertise, and your impact truly matters, whether it's research, startup, leadership, innovation, or public service. Focus on building body of work that supports your long-term case. Remember that the trying is not to just remember the trying is just to try with a little umph in it. So you're not just applying for a visa, you are proving your value of future of this country. Thank you, and I'll be happy to take questions. These are the reference and
Thank you so much for all that information, Abby. Um, I'm sure people probably have questions. If you do, please post them on the Q&A box. We will be happy to answer anything over there. And for those of you that join a little bit late, we will send you the recording of this session so you don't miss the introduction part, which was very helpful, where Abby talked more general about all the different process. So I'm not sure if we have any questions. I have a couple of questions for you, Abby. So the first one that we have in the chat is, do you need job appointment letters for the O1 visa?
well, if you are already working with a company, then it would the open visa will be filed based from that company itself, which would include the appointment letter, which would include your salary slip and as everything. And I think my company was given a form which they had filled out that they are ready to sponsor me for O1 visa. But if you have multiple job offers, that's another you're showcasing extraordinary ability. So yeah, if you guys have extra I mean like more than one job opportunities, then you can post that for O1 as well, if that
Great.
makes sense.
Thank you so much. We have another one. what is the best way to talk to employers regarding supporting you through the process? So what was your strategy here? I know you already were established at Gresham.
Right.
So I want you to share a little bit about that experience, but also if you were established already, what do you think that people can do to like help them into pursuing a firm to sponsor them?
So it's a very interesting question. Actually, my company attorney were not ready for Owen to apply for Owen visa. So what I mean by applying Owen visa is supporting financially. So the amount what I'm paying, which is nearly around, in between $6,000 to $10,000, when I agreed with my company that I'm ready to take that cost by myself, and they have to sponsor me. They have to just fill out a PDF, which hardly takes 5 minutes, so they were willing to do that. But before that, I had a brief conversation with my supervisor and my vice president, and I think the the thing which they really liked about is the conviction which I had, and that's what really created the difference. So if you do talk to your employer, be more accountable and be more you know like you can tell them that I'm willing to take up my cost. You just need to fill out that PDF, and once you talk to your attorney, they will give you a little bit more clarity on that. And also, if you have an immigration wing within your firm, they can talk to the attorney, and they can let the supervisors or the management know that, okay, financially don't support, like we cannot support, but yes, we can give, like a form which states that how many employees are there working in the company, and what is the turnover. Like, there are like minor questions which a firm can give.
Great, thank you. I have another question. I know you talk about for the O1 specifically that you have to show like extraordinary abilities. So my question or the question we have for you is, are your achievements clearly documented for someone unfamiliar with your work? So in other words, how do you show those achievements? In which way? Is it graphic? Is it like a long article? Like, how do you show that so someone that is not familiar with what you do will get the message that, yes, this is an extraordinary professional that we need to have?
So clearly, when somebody, like whoever approves our O1 visa, like that person won't be a civil engineer or a water resource engineer, right? So mostly they rely on, like, either if you have awards or if you have like some kind of, bigger publications and all those stuff. So I didn't had any of those. So what I did with my previous boss and the companies which I have worked for and my university, so I prepared, good amount of letter of recommendation from not just one place, but from my university, from my company, from my subcontractor, who are like the biggest firm in civil engineering, and right now from my company, that is Gresham Smith. So nearly I have 8 to 10 letter of recommendation, and actually I had 14, so I had to reduce it. So it is important that, if you guys don't have any awards or any other stuff which can easily be seen by someone who approves O1 or whoever is in USCIS, it is important that you guys have, really good letter of recommendation. And in that letter of recommendation, there would be mentions about, the research paper you are working on, or the news article which has been published. So, like, for example, the projects which I am working on, that is a fourth water plant. So there are news articles based on that project. So those news articles would come under, you know the the option which I mentioned about, if there is any article published about you. So if specifically not about me, but if I'm working on that project, that really counts. it won't count to like 100% towards it, but it still makes a point that yes, this individual is working in that project. So first getting the letter of recommendation, then getting the supporting documents, that would be the news headlines or the cuttings, which is either related to the project, or if you guys have name in it. And then, if like for me, there are like design drawings. If you are able to get the drawings and put it in the portfolio, that would be great. For me, it is not possible because most of the water plant projects they have huge privacy, and they won't be comfortable enough to send those drawings out. So what I did was, I had all the emails. So I didn't had email from my previous company, so I have good relationship with my previous boss, so he will help me out to retrieve those emails. And I have few pictures which I have worked on that particular project, so I can post that as well. So it is as much as information you guys can provide that would work for you. And because I haven't got my O1 visa right now, I cannot completely say that yeah, this would work for you guys. But I can tell you guys that what I am doing right now, which makes me hopeful that I'll get my open visa. But at least like when I file it, I would get to know that what I am lacking, right? And what direction do I have to go? But as much as option sequentially with as much as images and uh, valid documentation would really work.
Thank you. We have many questions, so I hope that we can answer all of them. I'm gonna start with one that is from someone that has a master's in architecture. The
Hmm.
bachelor's is in fine arts.
Okay.
Previously worked in set design in their country and got a couple of projects of architectural work. So that led to the path to pursue the master's in architecture. Okay, so the fine arts is the major and then the master's in architecture. And then the question is, so my bachelor's background as set designer as well as architecture can be an advantage apart from H-1B lottery to stay in the US and making a career? So I think the question is if having that dual background from fine arts and also set design and the masters, if it's going to help from the H-1B process, which technically, and I'm not answering, I will let you answer, it would help in the case, but because it's a lottery, we don't know if it's going to pass or not, correct?
Yeah, and also that depends, like if you are working in a firm and that like a US firm, and that firm is willing to file for you. I did is that mentioned, Gracilia, in the that if there is a company who's filing H-1B?
No, it's not mentioned, but I think the key answer
Key
there is
aspect, yeah,
to look for
is
other
it's a
options, which
lottery. Yeah, it's a lottery system and your name has to be picked up. So it's, if you're lucky enough, and if your company is filing, and if you're lucky enough, the it so it is irrespective of whatever degree or whatever qualification you have, it should be STEM. And if you get up, I don't think so if there is a STEM requirement as well, I'm not sure about it, but if it gets picked up, then you are qualified. If not, then not.
yeah, so the whole point is that because the H-1B is a lottery,
Right.
I heard in a previous session that, for instance, this year 400,000 applications were made
Mhm.
and only 80,000 were awarded. So
Exactly.
your chances of winning that 80,000 between 400,000 are really small considering it's people from around the world. So that's why we are trying to explain other ways in case you apply for that H-1B visa and it didn't go through because of the lottery. So you have other options in the future to go through. So I'm going to go with the other question. It says, I am currently on day one CPT as well after to fail H-1B lottery. So this person didn't make it through two times. I sent out an EB2 NIW last year and have been contemplating applying for express entry to Canada and working as a contractor from there. My field is in architecture and green building consulting. Is this a viable pathway for my field?
So I don't know if cannot answer for your field because um, I am not specific. Like I don't have much knowledge about architecture, but I think what you're doing is great. I don't know from what country are you from. The EB2 NIW is country specific, like how quicker you get, because like I mentioned, like for Indians, it takes 10 to, 10 years, I guess. So I think if you are from a country which is like, for example, there are certain South American countries, like one of my colleague, he applied, he was from Honduras and he got it in like what, 3 months. So it specifically depends like how much time like it takes, for like it depends on the country. And I think if it is taking more than year, I think getting express entry to Canada and working from there is the best option. But do remember, applying for H-1B every year, it's very important. Like if your company is willing to do that, try to convince them to file for your H-1B as well parallelly, and try out other options as well, like for over, like how I mentioned about O1, or EB1A. That would also be really helpful. But I would suggest try convincing your company to file H-1B as well parallelly every year.
We have many more questions, so I'm gonna go try to go quick so we answer this. Can I use documentation from a previous EB2 application for the O1 visa?
Well, it can, if it comes under the sixth category. I think for EB2 NIW, it's pretty similar, because like for my letter of recommendation, I am showcasing the projects which I am working, mostly like water plant project, or something which is good for infrastructure of US. That really helps. So yes, if your letter of recommendations has to be written in a way that so and so is working on a project which is of national interest, and so is his or her role. And if you can provide evidence saying that, like how I am providing is like, I have emails talking about the design, I have drawings which I am actively putting my thought processes and all those stuff. If you can provide that evidence, it can really help you out. You have done, I think, most of the things. If your EB2 and IW is already is in a good shape, I mean, like you have proceeded with that.
Okay. Someone is asking if you have a good attorney firms in US. I'm gonna put in the chat the contact of the attorney that we also had a session. Is in our website too, so I'll put that in later on. Another question is very long, so I'm gonna read it. I am a wastewater engineering training with 1.5 years of experience in water, wastewater conveyance and treatment process in Texas, US. I have 16 months left of my STEM OPT and one chance at H-1B lottery. I have a master's degree in environmental engineering, so very similar to you, and have one academic paper on food waste composting recently submitted for peer review. I know my work has national importance, but I feel like my profile is currently not strong for O1 or EB2, as I don't have enough supporting documentation. How long do you think I can take to build a strong profile for the O1 or EB2 if I actively work towards it? Also, can you provide tips on how do I begin with this process of building my profile? That's a great question.
And you know what? I can really help you out with this, because I was 16 months before my last H-1B, I was sleeping, I was doing nothing. So you you are in a pretty good headspace right now. And I really appreciate that, you are thinking about what needs to be done if your visa doesn't get picked up. So I think you already are in a pretty good shape. I think I would suggest you to get as many letter of recommendations as you can. And you know it should be from different different places. It shouldn't be just one company or multiple people talking about you. It should be your professors. It should be, the sub consultants where you are which you are working with. And it should be from, either if you can get someone from like the city, like, right, I'm working with city of Columbus, right? There should be, you guys, like, for us we have badges entry for the wastewater treatment plant, even that can work. So I have a pretty long answer for you. So I think, in a short, like in a short way, I can say that you're in a pretty good headspace. In next 16 months you can do as much as presentations. Try to get enrolled in AWWA, ASCE, which is like national level um, groups. Try to get involved in that, in the YP. Try to attend as many conferences as you can. Try to get your paper, try to present it. I am presenting in Tennessee, Kentucky, and Ohio conference. Those three conferences I'm doing. So in 16 months, like, for I think next 1 year, try to get involved as many conferences as you can. And for like next 6 months, if you have any, abstract submission, try to get involved in that. Try to find any newspaper article which you are working on. Try to gather it. And I have mentioned about the 8 subcategories. Try to create that subcategories for, how you can build it towards it, and talk to an attorney and like start building towards it, because eventually getting into open visa is the best option, is what I feel, even if you guys have H-1B, because it gives more stability and quicker path to the green card. And if you have any questions, you can send me email, or link me on LinkedIn. I can help you out as well. So yeah, I hope I answered.
Yes, you did. Thank you so much. I think we don't have any more questions, and we actually are on time. So, Abby, thank you so much for first not only spending 1 hour with us, but all the research work that you did, because you don't know how much, all of you, you don't know how much time does it take to learn about this process, get all these resources, comparing each to the one to the other one. So I really appreciate all the time that you put into this. And he wants you to provide an email on the chat. Um, I think if you
You
can
can
put
connect me on LinkedIn.
on
I
LinkedIn,
think, yeah.
just find him and he will connect with you. That's actually how we connected. We spoke at a session together, and then we connected on LinkedIn. And since then, we've been in contact all these months. So I want to thank you again on behalf of the Immigrant Architects Coalition. I wish you the best for that
Thank you so much,
process.
Gracilia.
And
Thank you so much.
I can wait for you to tell us that you are successful. As soon as you are, let us know, because we're going to celebrate with you. And we hope we can publish more articles about this with
Thank
your
you so much,
specific
Gracilia. And you
experience.
know what? My attorney, I got information from IAC and from reaching out to Gracilia. So I'm so happy that I could meet you, and I'm really pleased to present for you. Thank you so much, Gracilia, for this
Thank
opportunity.
you. Thank you again. And thank you everybody for joining us. Like we said, this is being recorded. We're going to put it in our website. So if you miss part of this conversation, please just go ahead, maybe tomorrow or the day after. You're going to have the entire session there so you don't miss anything. And thank you again, and have a good night, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Bye.